Hey everybody, I wanted to do a video today talking about horse behaviors again, but this is really for the purposes of us being able to communicate, understand, read their behaviors, and play or work with them. The way that they play and work with each other. I find that there is no better teacher than the horse on how to work with a horse. It doesn't mean we can do exactly what they do, obviously, but by watching their reactions and watching their timing and stuff, I think we can do some replication that can improve the communication that we have with them. So I've got 5 clips here that I want to talk about and one bonus clip with some of the horses out and about. These are, I've got hundreds of these, but let's talk about these ones first, and I'll keep on going through my library of videos, trying to find things that pertain to how we need to, or I feel we need to talk and communicate and work with horses, and hopefully have them work with us so that it becomes easier and safer. So let's get started. Let's make me invisible. You'll still be able to hear me, but you won't be able to see me. And in here I've got, I've got my first clip. So let's take a look and see what happens. So we've got Mr. Wild and Roni. You can see a little bit of what looks like playtime. A little bit of, well, and right there we get a reaction and a stop. Let's watch this a little bit slower. And it's half speed, so hopefully we can see things a little bit easier, because it's actually quite hard to see everything. In fact, if I don't slow things down sometimes 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 times what they previously were, I can't see everything. But you see how close they get, how much touch. Even there, Roni's kind of coming back a little bit. He could continue to hold his head away, but he just stays inches away. And then right there, so his head comes up, his body comes forward, and he presents the rear, which generally is a bad thing for another horse or us. And he stops. He doesn't continue. Let's watch that real quickly again. I want to highlight, or I'm highlighting this clip for the purpose of understanding when horses do things. Now, what they're doing here is hard to say. Playing, goofing around. He's trying to nibble on his face for whatever reason. Tries to get to the top. You know, is it the beginning of a bit of, I don't know, maybe domination, or trying to become the bigger horse, or checking in to see if he can be the bigger horse? It's hard to say. But what we do know, and we can see real clear, is that something happens. Roni's head comes high. He leaves. He doesn't leave overly happy, but he also has a bit of a facial expression that says, I'm going to go. Quite calm. Roni settles down. He licks his lips and, does the licking and chewing thing that everybody likes to talk about. Lick, chew, lick, chew. And, we just look here. He's already made his way away. He says, okay, I get it. And he has sort of a lower look to him. And he just stands firm. The other thing I wanted to note, and we'll just watch the fast version, is throughout this whole encounter, watch whose feet move. Even if it's just a little bit, who's ready to move, right? No, not Roni. Not until it comes down to there, and then he's away and he's got his butt. And while this may seem, it may seem obvious. It may be like, oh yeah, of course, that's what horses do and stuff like that. But when we are with horses and they do something we don't like, maybe they nibble on our jacket or our hat, or nibble on the rope, or, give us an indication that we ought to do something different than what we're doing with them. The level of the ramping up of energy and the ramp down timing is everything. And I think this is it's a bit funny, they're kind of goofing around. So we can take a lot of these amusing, what to us is quite amusing, to them is quite serious. It's either on or off. You're either saying no, or you're doing nothing, or you're saying yes. And it can be very useful for us, I think, to take these lessons that the horses teach us in this regard and apply them to our own work with them. Okay, let's move on to the next clip. Okay, so we'll get this up, and we'll get rid of me, and let's start playing this. All right, so I find that this is a really interesting one. I've always found Yoko's behaviors very interesting. So here we're gonna rewatch this in some slow motion, which is half the speed. So she comes up. She's got a lot of head movement. Her ears, just as her ears come back. Let's just back that up just a smidge. And we can see Lena's already looking over, right? She knows something's going on. Roni looks over. He's like, she's on her way. But that's a fast reaction. If humans were so observant, if we were so quick to observe and see and be aware of what's going on and what's going to happen, I think things would be a heck of a lot safer. I think a lot less people would get hurt. And this little tiny sequence of events here, she's coming up to yell at Luke a little there for a second, couple of paws. Roni's like, ooh, geez, she's making a move. She comes in. He's already on his way away. And she goes to have a little nibble on his butt, maybe. She doesn't make it, obviously. And he goes to kick. So let's get me out of the way again. So we can really take a good look at this when it comes through. There we go. So she comes in again. He moves, and he's got his ears. Look at his ears. His ears aren't back. They're kind of a little down, but not back. He is complying. He says, no problem, I shall get out of your way, even though he's a much bigger, stronger, faster horse. In no uncertain terms, Yoko is moving in and saying, you need to move quick. Her head comes up, so she's trying to get as big as she can, I guess we could say. And he says, I'm going to kick you on my way away. But before that, he actually projects that he's unhappy with being chased. His tail. Watch his tail for a second. We'll rewind for a second here. And these kinds of clues are really, really important. There goes the tail. Because she's making a move. He's like, oh, geez, I better prep to say I'm going to do something. So she knows it's coming. Her head does come up. And I think horses' eyesight are quite accurate when they do this. They can really see distance. And he goes to have a little kick. Now, horses are very accurate about kicking. If he really wanted to kick her, he could probably just plain kick her. And she continues to reinforce, but doesn't follow him. I think a lot of humans make the mistake of, myself included, I have done, I try not to anymore, but by going too far, following too far. And actually that is one of the times years ago, but I had gone after Roni for something. He did the exact same thing, except he got me in the arm. It was very light. It hurt just a little bit. No injuries, no broken anything, no skin removed, or no abrasion really. And I was like, wow, why'd you do that? But he was actually already moving away. And if I had at that time been a little bit more aware, a little bit more understanding that he's already escaping, he's already making his way away, I don't need to follow, then he wouldn't have kicked. And that's a defensive kick. It's not an aggressive kick. It's a very different kick. Well, and we can see that. And even that he says he's going to do it right there with his tail. So we keep an eye on these things. Yoko says, no problem, just keep moving. The interesting thing actually is a little bit of Lena's reaction here. How we see her, as he kicks out, she's moving away. She's thinking, do I need to go? But then Yoka kind of goes back the other way, and I've got the camera over on Roni to see how he chills out and doesn't go far. But Yoka just leaves, goes over to Luke, who theoretically is lower than Roni. He makes a move away to see what's going on, and she stops and she tries to create a little bit of draw, so he nibbles on her. But that's a whole other topic for another video altogether. But I find that stuff fascinating, how we can look back on these situations and see how far should we go? How far, if we go a little bit far, are we going to get kicked? Should we be watching out for kick? When is a kick going to happen? If you need to chase a horse off of another horse, you're holding a horse, another horse comes in, you're like, go away. If you follow too far, there's plenty of videos out there. I remember one very clearly of a girl who had fallen off of her horse, and she had her crop and she was ready to hit that horse, and that horse was already trying to get going to leave. And as it went to go leave, it kicked out and made contact and dropped that young lady to the ground. I don't know what happened after that. I'd be surprised if she lived through it. To be honest, it looked very vicious. But that's a defensive kick. That horse knew that he was going to be in trouble. No different than Roni was quite sure that Yoka would take a chomp out of his bum. And so again, we're kind of looking at a little bit of an amusing situation. And we're like, aha, look at that little horse move that big horse around. But each one of these situations gives us another bit of insight as to how much pressure does it require? When does that start? When does it end? And what do we do after? And then also observing what the other horse, he didn't leave, he didn't go up the arena. He actually stuck just to the other side of Lena, who didn't leave and who had understood that the trouble wasn't for her. And that's another thing that I try to talk about here and there is how we can teach horses that we're not talking to all of them at once. We're talking to one of them. And I've seen that plenty of times horse to horse. They have a whole herd of horses and one gets the communication. The others are like, it's not for me. So it's fantastic. Really interesting stuff. Let's move on to the next video. We'll full screen this, get rid of me. And check this out. Our boys playing, enjoying a little bit of roughhousing, as we call it. And coming back together. Really interesting stuff. I always enjoy watching the boys play. Now, this is just a heck of a lot of fun. I like this one for a few good reasons. One is how they both have drive and draw with each other. I think a good relationship with horses, and we'll see another clip soon, has both drive and draw on both sides until it comes down to whatever. So, Mr. Wild's kicking out at Luke. Luke's giving a little trouble. They come back together. They do know that this is a two-way conversation. And I think two-way conversations are fantastic. In the end, obviously, one of them is going to sort of have the way. But look at that. Look at how they come up like this. And who got higher? Luke got higher. And I have another video that I haven't found yet, but there's another one where they were like that. They were playing, and Mr. Wild gets his teeth on Luke's withers. It's fascinating. And Luke went to go kick him. But the fact that they will go after each other kind of like this, but they didn't make contact with their head movement there. It just kind of went right on by and fell to the left, and they both fell to their own left. And then Roni comes in to do whatever he's doing. So let's watch that one more time. I'm going to get rid of me, and we'll just see this little bit one more time. Come back, and you see how they're kind of going together, and they stop almost together, and they come along and say, "Let's go!" And a couple of little cow kicks and stuff like that. Luke stops, do another face-off. His little beard trimming, as I call it. And then up and away, and possibly a little cow kick off to the side there. And that kind of stuff, I think it's really important that we can play with our horses, but maybe not like this, because obviously we can't. But we can have two-way conversations, and it doesn't have to be the end of the world. We can have our horses sort of chitty-chat with us um, during non-work time, I guess we would call it, and build that relationship of like, yeah, I'll have a little fun with you, I'll have a little talk with you, I'll let you kind of tell me to do something, but I'm in the end I'm going to look like Luke, where I just say absolutely not. I'm going to get a little higher, and you're not going to kick me. I don't know what role Roni is. He's a third wheel today, so it's another interesting where we can watch these horses do something interesting, something that looks very powerful. I mean, 2,000-pound animals up in the air, land down hard, and wander off their own ways. Why? It's very, very interesting stuff. Okay, let's get on with the next clip we've got here. This one is good. We have 3 more, or this one plus 2 more. So let's keep powering through. Fascinating stuff. I hope you guys are just as interested as I am in this, and I'm not just going on. Okay, so let's get rid of me and watch this one. Again, the boys. Oh, there's a kick towards Luke. He gives a kick out, and off they go. And it's another example to me of how they're having a conversation back and forth. And Luke's giving him a hard time, so he goes to have a little kick, and he doesn't kick him. Horses are quite accurate. If they want to kick, they will. But this is different. This is more of a, I'm going to bug you, and you can kind of tell me, but I'm going to tell you a little bit more. But it doesn't get violent. We don't have to. No matter what we watch this a little further or not, we would see that it doesn't get worse. The conversation has its back and forth. In the case that, because Luke's a higher horse, it has a little bit more forth than back, but it ends there. You see, Luke, he doesn't care. He's gone to the barrel. He says, well, maybe I need a drink of water here. What's going on? Very casual. Both of them have let down right after that quick conversation. I think that stuff's really important, because I do feel that as humans, we continue to hold a feeling for a little too long, and instead we could just hold it, let it go, let it be, especially if we get a result that we want, especially if we get that result. So that's another good example of that. Okay, this one I don't have any slow motion results. I'll take them with my phone. But let's watch this one. This one's kind of fun. Off they go. Okay, so same idea. It's playtime, and it's a back and forth conversation, but it's always going to end the same way. And that is reliable. That consistency and that reliability of that. See, watch Luke. He goes in, tells him to go. He says, I really mean it. Gracie's doing a little jumpy, skippy thing. He's still going to follow up. Okay. And that's it. And then everybody chills. And to me, that as we've watched a few clips now, we've seen 100% reliability and consistency in the way the conversations go and how they end. So another thing that I find is people get discouraged if their horses aren't listening to them fully. It's a struggle to get things done. They don't do things right away. But if it ends well, if you get it to where, you've got a consistent sort of ending. So Luke says, no, you need to go. There's the but. And so Mr. Wild goes, right? And then off he goes a little bit more. And it's another consistent, reliable conversation. And neither of them are overly jacked up or worried or running around or scared or snorting or anything like that. I mean, the ending here clearly looks just very calm. Like, oh well, that was a good convo. Let's do that again sometime. And I find that fascinating. Okay, let's move on to the last clip. And it's a bit of a bonus clip. I was going to do 5, but I found this other one that I thought was, it's more funny than anything. We can also, maybe have a conversation about it in the comments if you'd like, on what happened here, what is going on, and why do they do this? So Let's get rid of me again. Get all this on the screen. Okay, so here we go. So Luke's giving Gracie a hard time, and she finally smashes over a barrel. Water falls out. This is the interesting part right here. They all like, what happened here? Watch, what I want you to watch a little bit is how many times Luke blinks. It's a lot. And let's bring that back again. We'll have this. Now Rooney's got all his attention on me for the most part. He's not trying to give any trouble whatsoever. We can ignore him. We can pay attention a little bit to Lena. Her ears are back and forth. She gets pretty alarmed. Let's watch that one more time. And see, look at that horse. Rawr. She's okay. Stop playing around, right? So Lena's paying attention to what's going on. Ronnie's paying attention to what's going on. Luke's giving Gracie some touches to the barrel's about to go. Some touches to her nose. And this kind of stuff, it interests me an awful lot because Luke is communicating something. And Gracie knocks over the barrels. They're all surprised. Even Yoka, who's right next to me, is going, what happened over there? But this kind of stuff is fascinating. And then Luke and Lena have a little convo. Luke gets finished up with a conversation. He gives her a little nudge with his nose right about there. Or he says, stop talking to me, or whatever he says right at the end there. And it's hard to tell exactly what we can get out of this video. Other than, I think even horses don't really always know what they're doing. Did she have an idea she was going to knock over a barrel of water? No. Did any of the other horses figure it out? Absolutely not. So I think there's plenty of times we kind of give horses a little bit too much credit for knowing everything that they're doing and the repercussions of everything they do. My horse deliberately kicked a board, or my horse on purpose, did something. And there's plenty of times, many times, and this is just a funny little example of her smashing over the barrel of water, and how they don't always know. So I hope that's been interesting. If you guys have any requests, if you know of any videos, you're like, hey, can you talk about this? What's going on? That'd be great. But I've got tons and tons of these set up, so we'll continue to talk about them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.